Hi guys, today we are out for evening walking, maybe even a night walking. What is the topic? Multi-ethnicity and assimilation, and the fact that empire might have different ethnicities within, but it's super important to assimilate. And let's take a couple of examples. Now, when you think of the United States, which are an empire, of course, and currently, and we will see for the future, the only world superpower. Do they have multiple ethnicities? Absolutely, yes. They have practically every single possible ethnicity in the world. Every possible ancestors can be found there, Italians, Germans, and so on. Do they accept different cultures, different flags, different ways of seeing the world? Absolutely not. Why? Because they are an empire, and the empire knows that they have to fight. And when it comes to fighting, in other words, war, it's important that everybody goes the very same direction. Everybody sees the world the same way, because you have to fight shoulder next to shoulder. On the contrary, you might have some other European countries like Germany, like Sweden, or even Italy. Now, they practice something that is called integration. But integration essentially means you are different than me. I respect that. I don't expect that you're gonna change. So in other words, you're gonna stay outside of our society, or just barely integrated for the rest of your life. And they think that this is really, beautiful, because it's about respecting the diversity and so on. But then, honestly, if you look at the results, sometimes they are not so great. But let's stick to the topic. So empires must assimilate. Back to the US. Some examples. Let's start from one that everybody knows, the flag. The flag, it's in every single school. You can find it on the safety helmets of some workers in a harbor. You find it after every public space, or I don't know, in the central stations, all over the places. In many cases, in the neighborhoods, out of your porch house, and super, let's say, strange if you look at that from a European perspective, even in the church. What does it mean? It means that you can be Jewish, you can be Catholic, you can come from Italy or not, but in the end, you gotta pay respect to the very same flag, the flag of the United States of America. Nothing else is accepted. Now, not everybody knows that the very first and still most important ethnic group in the US are Germans. The vast majority of the Germans fled into the States during the 19th century, and they were de facto the only ethnicity group invited by the British, because the Germans were and are very respected. In fact, there is still a way of saying honest as a Dutch. Then over time, Dutch became German, with this Latin form, but originally Dutch was just, Deutsch, German, in a little bit different. And the Midwest is where all those German descendants live. Problem: World War I broke out. What are you gonna do? You have a lot of guys, you're supposed to fight against the place where the first ethnicity group that you have in your house come from. Well, the solution at that time were concentration camps. This was not the name, okay? They were internment camps, assimilation camps, and so on. But literally thousands and thousands of German Americans were detained there. And the same applied, guess what, during World War II. Again, United States and Germany. Now, in particular, during World War II, they started with those camps in 1942. The number of people involved there wasn't so high, something like 11,000. But then the DOJ, the Department of Justice, and the FBI started a massive surveillance program that interested, in the end, at the end of the war, something around 600,000 German Americans. The Japanese Americans had a very similar destiny. 120,000 were involved in those camps. And the thing is that knowing history cannot really teach you anything. But at least, so you're not really able to predict the future, but at least it tries to teach you the effort of putting yourself into somebody else's shoes. In fact, one of the first errors that you might have when you study another period of time is to apply your views, your mindset, your values to the past, because of course we are not the same over the centuries. Now, why am I saying that? Probably you have already heard of the concentration camps in the Xinjiang province in China, where the Uyghurs are being detained. And now everybody nowadays is just, very ashamed. How is that possible that in 2020, 21, 22, 23, we are still doing these kind of things, okay? But the thing is that humans are humans and empire must follow certain rules. So, not contradicting what I've just said. So it's important that you understand the point of view over time. The conditions might change. And when it comes to being an empire and preparing yourself for a war, you can read through the lines Taiwan, for instance, and as just a first step to really escalate the tensions with the United States, it's super crucial that you compact your population. You cannot have differences. And Uyghurs are just the last example. During World War II, Japan leveraged another ethnic group, the Manchurian in China, and they even expressed an emperor back in the day. So, you know what? The Chinese under Mao absolutely destroyed, smashed down this ethnicity group, which now doesn't exist anymore. And the Uyghurs are gonna find themselves very likely in the same condition. Other examples, Russia. When you think of Russia, 99% of the times you're gonna think of a European Russian. So a white guy, not so far distant from the Urals. But the thing is that there are many republics which represent many different ethnicity groups in the Russian Federation. But everybody just thinks of European Russians. Another example, it might be Japan. Japan is notoriously hyper-racist. And one of the reasons is because they were, and maybe in the future, are gonna be back to be an empire. Another example, Turkey. Another example, Brazil. Brazil is probably the only other place that we can try to compare with the States. Not because Brazil it's an empire,